Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. Man, what a week. Seriously, I can't remember a time in tech that felt so contradictory. On one hand, you've got AI just fanning the flames of a tragedy with viral lies. And on the other, investors are throwing billions, that's billions with a B, at the very same companies causing all the chaos. It's wild.
So what does happen when you let AI report the news? Well, this week gave us a front row seat to the chaos. We're talking about everything from the tragic death of a public figure to brand new gadgets hitting the shelves and even a mind-blowing discovery on Mars. And you know what the common thread was? AI's fingerprints were all over it, shaping our reality in some pretty scary ways, but also in some good ones. So let's dig in and try to make sense of it all.
All right, first up, AI's week of chaos. And really, there's only one place to start. It's the biggest and frankly the most sobering tech story we saw all week. We're talking about the absolute firestorm that blew up when AI chatbots waded into a breaking news tragedy. This quote it hits the nail on the head, right? Algorithms don't call for comment. When the tragic news about conservative commentator Charlie Kirk broke, AI didn't act like a journalist. It didn't pause to check its sources, it didn't try to get confirmation, nope. It just cranked the volume up on the loudest, fastest, and often the most incorrect voices out there. And things just spiraled out of control, like incredibly fast. We're talking hours, just hours after the shooting. And you had AI chatbots confidently spitting out complete falsehoods. Grok, for example, was telling people that news outlets had confirmed a suspect that hadn't even been identified yet. At the same time, you had internet sleuths feeding blurry FBI photos into AI enhancers, creating these sharp, totally fabricated images of a person of interest. Think about that. That's AI being used to manufacture false evidence during a live investigation. It's no wonder it led to lawmakers threatening a major crackdown. You know, this isn't just about big, breaking news stories. This crisis of trust is creeping into our everyday lives, too. I saw this quote from Surfshark's CEO that was just perfect. Scammers don't even have to be good at scamming anymore. And it's so true. AI is basically handing criminals a toolkit that makes it dangerously easy to create super convincing phishing emails and all kinds of other scams. And believe me, this wasn't some one-off thing. The accountability crisis is really starting to boil over. Just this week, you had giants like Encyclopedia Britannica and Merriam-Webster suing Perplexity AI, saying it just scraped and plagiarized their content. And on top of that, the FTC, that's the Federal Trade Commission, is now launching a massive investigation into how chatbots from OpenAI, Meta, Google, the big guys, are impacting kids and teens. This is a full-blown crisis. Okay, so now we get to the AI money machine, and this is where things get really, really weird. Because while all this chaos was happening and public trust was hitting rock bottom, what was happening in the private market? Investors were doubling down hard. The difference between the mess AI was making and the money it was making is just staggering. So check this out. You remember Perplexity AI, right? The company I just mentioned that's getting sued for plagiarism and was part of that misinformation storm? Well, this week, investors looked at all that and said, you know what? This company is now worth, wait for it, $20 billion. $20 billion. I mean, if you ever needed proof of a massive disconnect between public controversy and private money, there it is. So you gotta ask, what's going on? Why are investors so optimistic? What are they seeing that maybe we're not? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is this idea called vibe coding. The CEO of Replit described it as basically being able to just speak software into existence. You just tell the AI, hey, I want a pet store website with a login page, and poof, the AI builds it. It's that kind of magical, almost sci-fi vision of the future that's getting people to open up their wallets. And let me tell you, the gold rush is on. It's not just one company. This week, Microsoft and OpenAI announced they're extending their huge partnership, which could clear the path for OpenAI to become a fully for-profit company. That vibe coding startup, Replit, its valuation just tripled to $3 billion. And another company, Figure Technologies, which uses AI for loans, had a super strong IPO. The money is just pouring in. All right, let's switch gears from the AI money machine to new gadgets and new problems. While all those billions were flying around in the abstract world of AI, the hardware folks were fighting a much more physical battle, a battle of millimeters and grams. But as you'll see, even here, you can't escape the promises and the problems of AI and software. So the big fight this week was the ultra-thin phone showdown. You've got the new iPhone Air versus Samsung's Galaxy S25 Edge.
And honestly, we're talking tiny differences. The iPhone is a little thinner and $100 cheaper. The Samsung is a smidge lighter. It's this all-out war over tiny physical details. But it's kind of funny, because the real revolution is happening in the software inside these things.
And speaking of software, there's actually a really cool little upgrade that's designed to save your eyes. It's a kind of under-the-radar feature in the new iPhone 17 that lets you turn off something called PWM dimming. That's the super fast screen flicker that you can't really see, but it can cause major eye strain and headaches for some people. You know, in a week where AI was causing all this societal chaos, it's kind of nice to see a small, simple innovation that's just focused on making one person's life a little bit better.
But then you have the flip side. Getting the basics right is still really hard. We're already seeing early reports that Google's new PixSnap accessories for the Pixel 10 are making the phones overheat. Like, seriously overheat. One user said it was like touching the side of a kettle. Ouch. It's just a perfect reminder that while all these companies are racing to build these all-powerful AIs, they still sometimes stumble on just making a charger that doesn't, cook your phone.
Okay, time for our next story. A discovery at risk. And the timing here is just incredible. In the very same week that we saw AI being used to create false evidence here on Earth, a completely different piece of tech was busy uncovering a potentially world-changing truth 300 million miles from home.
Just listen to this quote. "This very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars." That's from the acting head of NASA. Let that sink in for a second. The Perseverance rover found what they're calling potential biosignatures, basically fossil-like traces in a Martian rock that's 3.5 billion years old. This isn't AI making stuff up. This is a monumental discovery based on real, hard data.
But here's the absolutely gut-wrenching twist. At the exact moment NASA is making maybe its biggest discovery ever, there's a plan to slash their science budget. And we're not talking about a small cut. The proposal on the table would cut the budget by almost half. They're calling it draconian. This could literally cancel the mission that's supposed to bring that rock back to Earth for confirmation. So we might be on the verge of finding out if we're alone in the universe, and we might just decide not to because of budget cuts. It's unbelievable. All right, let's wrap things up with your week in Quick Bites. This is our rapid-fire round of a few other stories you should know about. And you'll see those same themes we've been talking about, helpful tech versus hyped-up tech, pop up here too. First up, Gmail is getting organized. And look, this is one of those small, quiet updates that's genuinely useful. It's a great example of machine learning just making your daily life a tiny bit less annoying. So what is it? It's a new Purchases tab. It automatically finds all your order confirmations and your shipping notifications and puts them all in one neat little list. So no more frantically searching your inbox for a tracking number. It just gives you this great bird's eye view of all the packages heading your way. It's not going to change the world, but hey, it's practical AI that just works. Next up, the Nothing Ear 3 is being teased. If you follow the cool, design-focused tech brand Nothing, they're getting ready to launch their new Ear 3 earbuds. And all the rumors are pointing in one direction. Even more AI in our day-to-day. So what do we know? The big reveal is September 18th. The charging case is now made from recycled aluminum, which is cool. But the really interesting part is the case now has a super mic and a talk button. And that's a massive hint that we're talking about on-device AI. The idea is you could talk directly to something like ChatGPT right from your earbuds without ever touching your phone. AI literally in your ear. And that really brings us full circle, back to the big question of the week. As AI gets more and more powerful and way more profitable, who's actually responsible for making sure it doesn't completely shatter our trust in everything we see and read? I mean, we saw AI invent facts this week, and we saw tech discover them. We saw AI create total chaos, and we saw it create simple convenience. So where does the buck stop? Is it on the companies building this stuff, the government, or is it on us? If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.